Okay, can everybody see the cover slide there? Okay, today I have a set of slides that shows sets of two hands in most cases. And we'll talk about the defense and the basic principle of defense on the first hand, because the first hand will illustrate one of the basic principles. But then the second hand looks very similar, but has a minor difference. And that means that you have to think about something else when you're defending. I'm going to explain to you the differences between the two hands and why it matters. I think you've all probably figured out that you can't take a bridge maxim and apply it to every single hand. There's only one thing that works in all cases, and that's the rule of 11. It doesn't take a whole lot of change in a situation to indicate that you need to employ a different tactic when you're defending. And I want to talk about what some of those considerations are and how you might figure it out. So, slide number one, hand number one here. This is the auction of over here in the upper right-hand corner. Notice that it can be dangerous to stick in a bid between two bidding opponents. But with this nice suit and the fact that it's the boss suit, if I'm east, I'm bidding spades there. I don't know whether south is getting ready to pass out two hearts. So I don't want to pass up an opportunity to compete for the contract and to tell my partner what to lead, or maybe he has a fit. Maybe we can even take the contract. So one heart by south, west passes, north raises to two hearts, east bids two spades, and south says, no, we're not having any of your nonsense there, and bids four hearts. So you're sitting east, and partner very dutifully leads the suit you bid. This is always an important thing for partnership harmony. All right, it's your job to try to find four tricks on this hand. This is the number of tricks that you need. The first thing you want to do is the opponents are in a game contract. I have 11 high card points. That means my partner can have at most 3 or 4 points. Where could those 3 or 4 points be that would be helpful? Well, let's look at the opening lead next and see what we can figure out. When your partner has not supported your suit, the most important thing he can do for you is give you count. So leading low like this, because I can see the 2, means that my partner has not led from the 3-2 doubleton. So I'm going to assign 3 spades to him. He has no honors in the suit, unless maybe he has the 10, because I can see the major honors here. After partner leads the 3, declarer plays the 9. You're going to play the jack. Third hand plays high, but only as high as necessary. You can see the queen in the dummy. So holding ace, king, jack means you play the jack. Then you play the ace. Declarer follows. It was always possible that he might have had a singleton, but if partner had 4 spades in his hand, hopefully he might have given you a raise if he'd had the opportunity. But his lead indicates that he has 3 of them. That means if we're counting, if partner has 3 and the dummy has 3 and I have 5, that leaves only 2 for the declarer. That's why that count signal is so important. So first thing I'm going to do is win the first trick with the jack, and then I'm going to put the ace on the table and take that trick. But I know that if I lead another spade trying to drop that queen of spades, that the declarer is going to trump it. I know that for a fact. So that's not going to help us out very much here. It looks to me like the declarer has 8 hearts between him and the dummy. And I have 2, my partner has 3. Could my partner have a heart honor? Probably not. South jumped immediately to 4 hearts. He has a good hand because his partner gave him only a simple raise. So after I take 2 spade tricks, the first thing I need to do is turn my head 90 degrees to the right and look at the dummy. And what do I see? I see that leading a diamond will only finesse my partner if he has a diamond honor. If he has a diamond honor, I'm not beating this contract, if that's where his 3 points are. So, since I've said a million times in the past, at least, forgive my hyperbole, I know it hadn't been that often, but I've said it often enough to know that if you need the suits to lie a certain way in order to defeat the contract, assume that that is the way the suits lie. Now, it's possible that my partner has a high heart honor, or an honor that's high enough that the declarer will need to finesse. Well, the declarer will do that. I don't have to do that for him. If my partner has a trump trick, then he's going to get it. I don't have anything else in my hand, though. If my partner gets a trump trick, well, that's 3. And that isn't going to help us get to 4 tricks. What might my partner have in his hand that could enable us to take 2 more tricks? The only suit that I see that might provide 2 winners is the club suit. I need for the declarer to have the king and my partner to have the ace. So after I take the ace of spades, my best shot is to play the queen of clubs. In this instance, declarer has the king and it is trapped. What happens if declarer has the ace and my partner has the king? We're not setting the contract. When you're thinking about defense, you have to think about how do I need the cards to lie in order to beat this thing? There's no guarantee that you're going to beat it. But if I can beat it, the club suit offers the only chance that I can see. And if I lead low, notice the declarer can put in the 10 and that will force my partner's ace. I have to lead high from this 2-card sequence, which against a suit contract is all you need on opening lead. And it's all you need when you're leading after the initial lead as well. So I need to lead the queen of clubs, not a small one. That traps the king here. Declarer thinks to himself, well, rats. I had this thing made in the shade. My club losers can go away on the diamonds in the dummy. I have that suit completely locked up. I can get rid of all the clubs I need to get rid of. But that club switch has doomed me. Notice if you just blindly lead a 3rd spade, declarer ruffs, pulls the remaining trumps, and discards club losers on that long diamond suit. He can give up 2 spade tricks, and he can get rid of 3 club losers here on long diamonds, leaving him with only 1, so he makes the contract. Several important points here. Partner had to give you count by leading low, and then once you've taken 2 tricks in spades, you have to interpret that opening lead and figure out that partner has 3 of them and you're getting no more than 2 spade tricks. That was the important thing here. Now, this is the West hand. You can see it is not a thing of beauty, but it has the 1 card in it that is needed to set the contract. And it is important to note that the club lead has to come from the East hand. That's the only way the king can be trapped. Now then, I made a point here as well. Some of you say when I'm leading from 3 small, I lead the top one. That is not the case. When you have not supported your partner's suit, it is much more important to give him count than it is to play your highest one. Now, if you have supported so that partner knows you have at least 3 of them, then you can lead the top because partner will know you have at least 3. But when you've not supported, it is much more important to lead low from 3 small, if that is your agreement with your partner. Now, here's a very, very similar situation, but this time, same auction. This dummy ought to look pretty familiar here too. On the same auction, though, West now leads the 10 of spades. He did not support. Now, East should look at that 10 and say, I can see all the other high cards here. This would look to be the top of a doubleton. Remember, when we're talking about opening leads and you have a doubleton, doesn't make any difference whether you're leading partner suit or not, you lead the top of it. And you can be pretty certain that this is not the top of a sequence because you see the 9 in the dummy. So what does this mean? This time, East should look at his hand and say, okay, my partner only has 2 of them. That means that it is safe for me to play 3 rounds of spades. 3 rounds of spades. So this time, East will take the jack because he can see the queen in dummy. Third hand high, but only as high as necessary to win the trick. After he takes the jack, he will play the ace and then the king. He is absolutely confident that partner has only 2 because, number one, he didn't raise with 4 of them. If I get the opportunity, I'm going to raise my partner preemptively, at least to the 3 level. The fact that you see 3 of them in the dummy should make you very, very strongly suspicion here that your partner has a doubleton and not 4 of them. If he has 4 spades, you're never beating this contract. That's an absolute certainty. So when we're defending, we don't think about those kinds of instances because the object is to defeat the contract. So once East takes 3 spade tricks, what's he going to do now? Notice here that I told you that West discards the 3 of clubs on the 3rd round of spades. He's letting his partner know that is attitude about that suit. He's letting his partner know, hey, I don't have anything in this suit. You're going to look at the dummy and you're going to see a weakness in the club suit and you're liable to lead it. There's no future in it, partner. Do not lead a club back. Well, I still see those same diamonds in the dummy. If my partner has a diamond on her, it's dead in the water. So that's not going to work. I'm not going to return a diamond. When I can't see any other tricks, now, if I know, for instance, that my partner has a trump on her, then the declarer needs to play the trump suit himself. My partner will get a trump on her if he has it, and declarer takes a finesse. So I don't particularly want to lead a trump here. My thought when I'm in this situation is when there's no other option, I have taken all the tricks I can take with high cards, try for an uppercut. We've talked about that as a defensive technique. What do I need for my partner to have the ability to rough? I know he can rough. The question is, can he over rough the declarer? Assuming that declarer roughs high. Well, when East leads the 8 of spades for the 4th round, notice the predicament that South has. He doesn't know. He's missing the queen, but he has 9 of them. If he were going to play this suit himself, he would lead out the ace and king, expecting that the queen drops. Remember, 8 ever, 9 never? He might take a finesse, remembering that East bid, but it's not a guarantee that East has the heart queen because he's shown up with 8 points in spades, and for a simple overcall, that would be enough. But at the 2 level, he should have more than just 8 points because remember, he stuck in a bid over 2 hearts. He bid 2 spades over 2 hearts. So he should have some more points. But declarer doesn't have the luxury of thinking about this because East has forced his hand. He knows, he has seen West discard. He knows West can trump. What he doesn't know is what West's trump holding is. But notice, declarer has no winning options here. If he ruffs with the ace or the king, well, now whoever has the queen probably has a trick. If he takes a chance and ruffs with the jack, if West has the queen, the declarer is immediately set. I will tell you that West's trump holding is the queen doubleton. So leading a fourth round of spades here is the only thing that works. And the only difference here in the information that East has, he gleaned from West's opening lead. My partner led the top of a doubleton. That means I can take 3 spade tricks. On the third round, my partner played a low club, warning me off, saying, don't lead a club. Don't have a club trick over here. West's hand is worse on this deal in this situation than it was previously. After looking at all the other suits, the only way to get it for East to get another trick is to lead a fourth round of spades. And that is in general a good thing to remember. When you have taken all the tricks you can get from your high cards, try for the uppercut. Is it guaranteed to work? Of course not. There are precious few guarantees in this game. But when it is the only way to defeat the contract, that's the way you play. You play as though that's the situation that exists. So notice, if South delays the inevitable by roughing with the ace or the king, then West's queen is immediately promoted into the setting trick. He has queen doubleton. If South tries to get by on the cheap, he can see the 10 up here in the dummy, so he has the jack and the 10. If he tries to rough with the jack, then West over roughs with the queen, and the contract is set. But East just has to stop and think for a minute. Look at the dummy, take all the information he can from partner's lead and discard, and go from there. Now, here's another situation. Here we have a rather common auction here. South opens 2 no trump. North says, do you have a 4-card major, partner? South says no, and North says, well, in that case, I have enough to bid game. West leads the 3 of spades. East very dutifully plays the king, hoping that his partner has led from the queen. As you can see, he has not, but it's East's job to help West set up his suit. So he plays the king. There's also the consideration that East doesn't want to block the suit. He needs to get that high card out of his hand. Now then, here comes the next part of paying attention on defense. After he wins the ace of spades, declarer leads the small heart up toward the dummy. Notice the only thing in the dummy are those very beautiful hearts. There is absolutely no outside entry here. East is sitting there with the ace. I think most of you are experienced enough to know that you probably ought to hold up at least once. But you don't have to guess in this situation. After declarer leads one of these small hearts, your partner plays the 3. You can see the 2. So you know that the 3 is your partner's lowest card. Well, when we're telling partner how many cards we have in a suit, we play high-low to indicate an even number and up the line to indicate an odd number. We know that the declarer does not have 4 hearts. He has at most 3. So in order to kill that dummy, East has to know when to take that ace. If partner has 3 of them, I have 4, and the dummy has 4, that leaves only 2 for the declarer, and that tells East that he needs to take the second round of the heart suit. After he takes the second round of the heart suit, the dummy is dead. Declarer can no longer get there. He will return the 9 of spades. When you're returning the suit that your partner led at the opening, you return current count. Since East has a doubleton left, the 9 and the 6, he plays the 9. Declarer will duck, as they often do. He knows pretty much what the situation is. He now knows that East holds either 2 or 3 spades. So he ducks until the third round of spades in order to exhaust all of East's spades in his hand. His only hope at this point now is to lead the ace and king of diamonds and hope that the queen drops, because East watched very carefully what his partner played. He knew when to take the ace of hearts. He returned his partner's opening lead, and that left the declarer with no recourse. I know you've all had the experience of trying to play a no-trump contract out of your hand. Well, after these first few tricks here, that's exactly what South has to do. He has no recourse. He can't lead a diamond off the dummy because he was trying to set up the heart suit and it didn't work. As it turns out, the diamond finesse wouldn't have worked anyway. But when the queen of diamonds doesn't fall, your partner will get in with that queen of diamonds and take the rest of his spade winners. All of this came about because East watched the first card that West played. You know, there's a saying in bridge: when your partner's on lead, give him attitude, and when the declarer is leading, give him count. And that's exactly what happened here. This is a similar hand, but there's an important difference. The secret to defeating this contract also hinges on West giving the same thing, a count signal in a side suit. Same auction, same opening lead. Once again, East plays the king, taken by the ace. Declarer now leads a low heart, and your partner plays the 7 rather than the 3. East doesn't know exactly what's going on here. The 7's high enough that he thinks that his partner may have a doubleton. We know that South doesn't have 4 hearts. He has at most 3. Well, if he has 3, your partner has 2. That means that East needs to wait to see what card his partner plays next. It looks very much like the declarer has 3 hearts this time, because West played a much higher heart than he did the first time. If the declarer plays a second round of hearts, East has to duck again. And when West plays a small heart on that second round, his patience is rewarded. East takes the third round and once again returns his partner's suit. Now, it may be that the declarer says, you know, I don't have to get a bunch of heart tricks here. I've gotten one. If East has the king of diamonds, I might be able to get 4 diamond tricks here. You know, I could use the hearts for entries for a diamond finesse instead. You can see here from this hand that that doesn't work. If he takes the diamond finesse, then this time West will win it and continue spades. And once again, declarer will take the third round. Here's an important consideration. It's hard to know what to discard when declarer's running a suit, isn't it? When declarer takes the ace and jack of diamonds, East has to be really careful to get rid of any remaining hearts that are left, because you can see he's going to win a club trick here. Since declarer is stuck in his hand, he has to be careful that he isn't thrown in with the lead at the end of the hand with a small heart still in his hand. What would happen if he kept a heart? The dummy would win it, and that would be enough to let South make his contract. It's a shame to go to all this good defense and think and hold up the ace long enough until declarer gets only 2 heart tricks instead of the 3 that he needs, only to keep a heart in your hand. You're never taking another heart trick here. You've got to get rid of those hearts, leaving yourself with only spades in the end. And as you can see, that's enough to defeat the contract. Now, here's a situation that happens a lot. This is the most common auction in all of bridge, in case you didn't know that. 1 no trump, 3 no trump. Short, sweet, to the point. Let's move on to the play. Now, your partner leads this spade 4 against the 3 no trump contract. Where are we going to get 5 tricks? Well, because I can see the 2 and the 3, I know that the 4 is my partner's lowest spade. And I'm thinking that this is probably his 4th best. 4th best from a suit. So it's either topped by the ace or the jack, because I can see the king and the queen. What are the odds that my partner has the ace? Well, in general, he could have an ace, obviously, from looking at the fact that I have 9 points. Partner has 5 or 6 points in his hand, and that certainly gives him enough room to have the ace. But declarer is the odds-on favorite to hold the ace. He just is. Now, if your partner has the jack and it's sitting behind the queen 10 here, it's not looking too promising for the home team, is it? It looks pretty much like the declarer has the spade suit well in hand. So, if you play the king, here's what a smart declarer will do. If you play the king, he will take it with the ace, because first off, you would play the jack if you had it. When you play the king here, 3rd hand high, that tells the declarer that East doesn't have the jack, because with the queen 10 and the dummy, if East has the king jack, he would play the jack, not the king, because he can see the queen and the 10 in the dummy, and the jack will force the ace. The fact that he plays the king tells the declarer that West is the one who holds the jack. When he takes a second trick, either immediately or later on in the play, he can play the 9 and will cover it with the 10, because he knows that it's going to win. And he will get an extra spade trick. South can figure this out by looking at how the cards lie. If the declarer holds the ace, I have to hold on to my king. I have to. Now, when he ducks, when he plays the 7, that gives the declarer a trick with the 9, but he ends up with only 2 spade tricks, not 3. Playing the 7 costs absolutely nothing if partner holds the ace, because the declarer is always entitled to 1 trick in that case. If he takes the trick with the 9, and declarer has the jack instead of your partner, then he's always entitled to one trick holding queen jack 10. It's just that he gets the trick with the 9 instead of the jack, queen, or 10. So if your partner holds the ace, declarer always is entitled to one spade trick. So it looks like it costs a trick, but it doesn't. Now, if declarer wins the 9 here, say East does all this thinking and says, I need to play the 7. And then he leads a diamond to the 10, East will win the queen. Now, notice, he doesn't immediately put the ace on the table to help out declarer. That then sets up the diamond suit for him. So, what does he do next? Well, East wins the queen and leads back the 2. He has 3 remaining left. 3 remaining cards left. So he leads the low one, plays the 2. Declarer has to win the ace. And when he leads another diamond, East wins his ace. Now, make declarer do the work. Don't do his work for him. And he plays the spade king and another spade back to the jack. 2 diamonds, 2 spades, and partner's club ace are enough to defeat the contract. All because East thought and didn't play the king third hand high. He could see there was no future in doing that, so he didn't. And it ended up setting the declarer one trick. Now, here's another situation that looks the same, but has a really big, important difference. I think all of you can see this very imposing diamond suit in the dummy. That is a serious source of tricks. East should look at that dummy and say, oh my gosh, if my partner has the queen of diamonds, it's dead in the water. I can see 6, I have 3. There are only 2 left for my partner and the declarer. So my partner has either 1 diamond or 2 diamonds. If he has the queen, it's not a stopper. If declarer has the queen, there are 6 tricks right there. 6 tricks. Same auction, same opening lead. In this case, though, East looks at that dummy and says, oh my gosh, I can't afford to sit back and play the 7. That's way too passive. I've got to be active. How can I be active? Well, first thing I'm going to do is play the king. Well, this time it wins the trick. Now, he has to go up with the king, hoping his partner has led from the ace. Because if the declarer has the ace of spades here, there's no way to beat this contract. There just isn't. So, what am I going to do? My spade king held the trick. If I lead a spade back to what I assume is my partner's ace, all I'm doing is setting up a trick for the declarer with the queen of spades in the dummy. This doesn't look like a good idea. I'm not in business to set up tricks for the declarer. Well, if I'm not going to return my partner's opening lead, should I return a heart? Well, that's a possibility. There's weakness in hearts in the dummy. But I have something that looks very promising here. I have the queen, jack, 9 of clubs, and the 10-8 happens to be in the dummy. I know that my partner, see, this time I have only 7 high card points. So my partner should have 7-ish, something like that. The dummy has exactly 10 points. South has here, let's see, 10, 15. So I know they have at least 25. If I have 7, that leaves my partner with about 8. He has room to have something besides the ace of spades. If that card is the ace of clubs, a club lead has to come from my side of the table. It has to. If my partner has the king of clubs, well, I can help develop a trick. If declarer has the ace of clubs, once again, you can't beat the contract. So if there's a lie of the cards that enables you to defeat the contract, that's the way you play. If there were no chance, for instance, if your partner couldn't have the ace of clubs, then you might just as well return a spade before declare starts running those diamonds to make sure you get all the tricks you're entitled to. But there's a chance that partner has the ace of clubs. And is this guaranteed to work? I mean, declarer could have the ace of spades, but with the queen and the dummy, he'd surely have covered the king. Surely he would have done that because he would have a second stopper in the dummy with the queen and then maybe another one with the 10. So it's virtually impossible that the declarer has the ace of spades. But from all this reasoning, instead of returning my partner's lead or playing the 7 at the first trick like I did previously when there was no threatening suit in the dummy, I have to be very active. This means from the queen, jack, 9, I have enough of a sequence. This is a broken sequence here that I can put the queen of clubs on the table. Now, obviously, declarer is going to be very disappointed. Disappointed, upset, and may say, oh, rats, dadgummit, why do people have to be so smart? No matter when he plays the king, he's toast. The defense will get 3 club tricks and 2 spade tricks because on the 3rd round, West will have to take that ace of clubs because he doesn't have any anymore. And then he'll put the ace of spades on the table to defeat the contract. Notice if he doesn't do that, once the declarer's in, he'll take 3 heart tricks and 6 diamond tricks, and you'll never get the ace of spades. When you have the setting trick in your hand and there's a long threatening suit in the dummy, you have to put it on the table. Yeah, that gives declarer a trick with the queen, but that's okay. He can't come to 9 tricks. Notice the difference. Remember when we started talking about defense, we talked about active versus passive defense. One of the indications for passive defense is no threatening suit, no long suit, no shortness in the dummy. In other words, a balanced dummy is non-threatening. In that case, you play passively. But when there is a long suit in the dummy that you know declarer is going to run to make his contract, you have to become very active. And in this case, being active means you need to play the queen of clubs. You might think that the jack of hearts might be suitable as well, but notice how much better your clubs are than your hearts are. That by itself persuades me that clubs offer a better chance of setting up some tricks. What I'm doing is trying to find tricks that can be taken before the declarer gets in the lead and starts running those diamonds. My club suit is much better than the heart suit. So I'm going to put the queen of clubs on the table, and against that defense, declarer is hopeless. This is a very makeable contract if the defense falls asleep at the wheel. Now, here's another important concept on defense. When one of you has a long suit, one of the defenders has a long suit, each defender should strive to keep an entry in the hand with the long suit. In other words, the shorthand should take his entry first and lead that suit again to help his partner set up the suit. Remember, when you're trying to set up a long suit as a defender, you typically don't do that if you don't have an outside entry. If you don't have an outside entry and you need a couple of leads in the suit, you have to try to find your partner's suit rather than setting up your own. So here we have the auction. East opens 2 spades. This is a decent 2-spade opening. South says, I'd have opened 1 no trump if you hadn't stuck that weak 2 bid in there. So he bids 2 no trump, showing a 1 no trump opener and promising at least 1 spade stop. At least 1. West says, well, I don't think much of that. I've got 3 spades and I'm going to raise my partner. We have 9 between us, so I'm going to contract for 9 tricks here, hopefully. 3 spades. And North says, well, hey, my partner promises a spade stop. I have 1 too. And I have enough to bid the game. I have 9 points. I have a spade stop, and I have a 5-card diamond suit. I think that makes enough to try for 3 no trump. Okay. Your partner is a good partner. So he leads the 6. Remember, he told partner he had 3, so he should lead the top one that he has. Unfortunately, it's not a very good one. He leads the 6, and of course, the singleton king has to be played, and he should signal encouragement here by playing the 7. This is not half bad. I have a side entry here. That's something that I can encourage my partner in. This has possibilities. Well, Declarer then comes over to his hand with a heart. Notice he has 3 good hearts here, and so he uses that heart suit as transportation over to his hand, and he leads a diamond. He leads the queen. This is an important psychological thing here. Number 1, you want to play your honors from the short side first here. So you would lead the queen, but if you want that card to be covered, lead the highest one. You've got the queen, jack, 10, 9, and 8. You could lead a low one over to the 8, but when you want somebody to cover, to help you set up, lead that high card. So Declarer puts the queen of diamonds on the table. And West has been listening to some lessons and stuff, and he can see 5 diamonds there. He has 2, and he's thinking, I know my partner has 6 spades, so that means he's going to have some shortness somewhere. If I put the king on this trick, could he have a singleton ace, and could I have just killed it, and given Declarer an over trick? The consideration here, though, is that he needs to remember that it's his job to help his partner set up his suit. He is not the one with the long suit. He's the shorthand. So the shorthand needs to take his entries first to retain any entries that his partner has in the hand with the long suit. So there is a way to get back to his hand. This means that West should play the king of diamonds. If he crashes the ace, it was still the right play. In this case, the king holds the trick. So he leads another spade. Okay. Now, what happens if West ducks this diamond? That means that East has to win it, and he has to lead the spades. When he won the diamond, Declarer can just hold up that ace of spades until West doesn't have any more spades left. Now there's no way back into the East hand. It is of paramount importance when there is an entry, and you need to preserve an entry in the long hand here, that the shorthand take his entries first. He takes the king of diamonds and leads another spade. East will play the jack, and Declarer can hold up that ace if he wants to. He can hold it up till the 3rd round. It doesn't matter, because the defenders played in such a way that when Declarer tries to set up the diamond, East has the diamond ace. And after he has cleared the suit with the 2nd lead, when he gets back in with the ace of diamonds, he takes the remaining spades to set the contract. Notice it all hinges on the fact that West hopped up with that king of diamonds in order to keep a possible entry. Partner could have the ace of clubs over there instead of the ace of diamonds. He needs something besides just the queen jack of spades in order to bid 2 spades, doesn't he? West doesn't know for sure which entry his partner has. He just knows that he has to take his entries first and continue to lead spades. Remember, if you have an entry and you have a card that will help your partner, take that entry to preserve any entries in your partner's hand. If your partner doesn't have an entry outside his suit, then you have to hope that he can run the suit on the first lead. That's the only way this works. Now then, here's another possibility. 2 spades by West this time. North passes. South bids 2 no trump. Notice that shows a bigger hand than 2 no trump in the direct seat. 2 no trump shows the hand that would have at least considered opening 2 no trump here. Remember, 1 no trump in the balancing seat is 11 to 14. If you have 15 to 17, you have to double first and then bid no trump at the cheapest level. When South bids 2 no trump, it shows I have better than a 1 no trump opening. Better. So he bids 2 no trump. He can't bid 1 no trump. 1 no trump in the balancing seat is 11 to 14. So what happens here? North says, oh, well, okay, you say you have a spade stop. I'll bid 3 no trump. That's not bad. Now, the question is, what should East do when his partner leads the queen of spades and the dummy plays the 4? What happens if he plays the 8? Well, Declare's not going to play his ace on that first round. I can promise you. He knows that West has 6 of them and he has only 1 stop. So the lead of the queen pretty much puts the king in the East hand. So Declare holds up the ace, and then when East has to win the king next, he doesn't have a spade left, does he? So no matter what he leads after that, Declare is going to make at least 3 no trump. Well, what if East instead plays the king on the first round? It looks terrible playing the king on the queen. You feel like you're wasting that king, don't you? You know your partner could have the ace. He could have nothing in his hand but ace, queen, jack of spades, and he might well lead the queen as the top of the interior sequence. But he still needs to get that king out of his hand. Well, Declares wasn't born yesterday, so he does not play his ace. That means that East leads back the 8. Declares he's going to hold up on that first round, and he'll hold up again. He knows the rule of 7. He has 5 cards in the spade suit. That means subtracts 5 from 7, and that says hold up twice. So he holds up again. He knows East now doesn't have any more spades. There were 5 of them between his hand and the dummy. He has seen 2 from the East hand, and we know that West started with 6 of them. East can have no more than 2 spades. But notice, when he tries to set up the diamonds, at this point he has to hope that the ace of diamonds is in the East hand. That's the only hope he has. Not that way today. West should hop up with that ace, and then he will take the remaining spade tricks. But it all hinges on the fact that East unblocked that king. When you have an honored doubleton in your partner's suit and you're defending no trump, you generally need to get that honor out of your hand, even if that means dropping the king under the ace. However, you know I have something similar here, but it's different this time. Auction and the opening lead are exactly the same. East has the king and the 8. The difference is here, The dummy has 3 spades in it instead of only 2. Now, let's think a minute here before you put the king of spades on that queen. What happens if he does that? It sets up the 10 as a second stopper for the defense, is what it for the declarer is what it does. Notice, if partner leads the queen, dummy plays the 3, you play the king, and declarer plays the ace. Well, West gets a trick with the jack, but now the 10 is set up as a second stopper. So if East plays the king, declarer's going to block the suit, is what he will do. And even if he doesn't, he will play the ace, because once again, he knows that East has a doubleton and that he has the king. It's just in this situation, East can't afford to unblock because it sets up a second stopper in the spade suit. Declarer's still going to play the ace, though, because he knows the suit is blocked. He knows that West doesn't have the king. Holding the king from king, queen, he'd have led the king. He didn't. He led the queen. That's his top card. Declarer knows East has 2 spades, and one of them is the king. And if he unblocks, that 10 of spades is the declarer's 9th trick. Now, you just can't afford to do that. A smart declarer will play the ace, blocking the suit. But most declarers will say, the spades are 6-2 here. I'm going to hold up my ace until the second round and make this contract when East has the diamond ace. But even with that distribution, it is right to play low here, because unblocking sets up the 10 for the declarer, and that is his 9th trick. Look what happens. If East plays low, declarer starts working on the diamonds. Well, eventually, West will have to take his ace. He will play another spade, and good old partner will take the king, but declarer can come to only 8 tricks because the 10 does not become a 9th trick for him. So when you're going to set up a trick for the opponents by unblocking, don't unblock. Just don't do it. Now, here's another example of a recurring theme that we have. You know, I always enjoy hearing about a new technique or a new trick the first time I hear it, but I need to hear it 20 times or 50 times or sometimes 1,000 times before I really learn it. So here's the auction. 3 hearts by south, 4 hearts by north. Might be a little aggressive, but worth a shot. Now then, West leads the spade jack, jack 10, 9, perfect sequence. And when South wins the ace, he doesn't cover with the queen. He wins the ace. So in other words, when the queen is not played from the dummy, then East has to keep his king. So declarer then leads the trump queen, and you're sitting in the West seat. You have the king of trumps guarded once. What should I do? There's a huge temptation when you don't see the ace in the dummy to put that king of trumps on the table immediately. But you need to stop and think for a minute. If the declarer had the ace of trumps, how would he play this suit? After he won the ace of spades, wouldn't he go to the dummy in diamonds? and lead a low heart toward the ace, queen, jack, whatever he has. I think that's the way everybody would play it. Absolutely everybody. He wouldn't start with the queen. So let's think. We know that South has 7 hearts. We can see 3 of them in the dummy. West has 2. That means his partner has a singleton. He has only 1 heart. Since we have sat here and said, I don't think the declarer has the ace of trumps. For one thing, he's already played the ace of spades. If he has the ace of hearts and the queen jack, hey, he's got 11 high card points and a 7 card suit. I'm opening 1 heart with that, not 3. So there's really not enough room in his hand for him to hold the ace, is there? So if West stops to think, he needs to put that 3 on the table. I can't tell you how many times, though, I have seen a defender who says, oh, good, I'm going to get my king of trumps. I'm going to get it. Puts the king on the table, and then his partner gives him a very dirty look from across the table, puts the ace on it. And West feels like a yutz. I have been a yutz before. I think almost anybody who's played for any length of time is a yutz at one point or another. Well, it's been known to cause some difficulties in some partnerships and in some marriages and all kinds of other things. These hands like this are often put in lessons because they are so devilish, and you have to stop and think for a minute. The key question that West needs to ask himself is, if I were the declarer, how would I play the trump suit? If I had the ace, queen, jack, I would not put the queen on the table. I know that my partner has only 1 heart, so I have to play low. If the declarer loses only one trump trick, he makes the bid. So this is critical. He will lose 2 trumps and 2 clubs if West just stops to think for a minute. How would I play this suit if I had the ace in my hand? Does this match? If it doesn't, then that's pretty much an indication that the ace of trumps is elsewhere. And if it's not in my hand, it's not in the dummy's hand, and it's not in declarer's hand, that means my partner has it. And I know for certain that he has a singleton. So I have to play low. Now, here we have an example of a standard 2/1 auction. I'm going to go through this one quickly because this illustrates an important element of defense, and that is listening to the auction. South opens 1 spade. North bids 2 clubs. South rebids 2 hearts. North says, well, that's better, but I still only have 3 of them, and I don't know what you have here, so I'm going to have to bid 2 no trump. South now bids 3 diamonds, saying, hey, partner, I'm at least 5-5 in the majors. I have at least 5 spades. I could have 6, and I have 5 hearts. And North says, oh, well, in that case, my 3 hearts will be fine. So, opening lead is the ace of diamonds. When you've got the ace king, Ron Hincke used to say, God gave us aces and kings together so we know what to lead. So the ace of diamonds hits the table. Once again, partner should play the 10, saying, I like it, partner. I like it a lot. I can control the 3rd round of the suit. So, West leads the king. Partner East completes the echo by playing the 5. And then partner very dutifully plays one of the small diamonds he has left, and East roughs it. Okay. And declarer follows. East has to think about what he's going to do next. There would be a huge temptation just to put the ace of clubs on the table and say, down one, so sorry. But he needs to stop and think. Remember the bidding. He knows that the declarer was at least 5-5 in the major suits, and he has followed to 3 rounds of diamonds. How many clubs can he have? He doesn't have any clubs. He can't have any clubs. Not if he's a halfway decent bidder. Unless he lied to his partner and he really has only 4 hearts. Okay, he must be void in clubs. The other thing we know is there cannot be enough trumps in that north hand to take care of all the losers. That South has 5 spades in his hand. So what's going to happen to a lot of those spade losers? Particularly as if you notice in this situation here, declarer doesn't need the ace, queen, and jack of trumps in order to draw the trumps because he has the king, jack, 10, 9 in his hand. He can draw any number of trumps with that king, jack, 10, 9 when the ace and queen have already been played. So what East needs to do is put a trump on the table. Remember, when declarer is playing in his second suit, you often want to lead trumps. Now, the rule about not leading singleton trumps here, plus having the nice, attractive diamond ace king, means that West made the correct choice here in playing the ace and king. He knows that declarer has a very distributional hand and that he needs to get tricks as fast as possible. He strikes gold because his partner has only 2 of them, and then partner roughs that 3rd diamond. But it is really important for East to return a trump here. Take a trump off the board so that only 2 spades, 2 losing spades, can be trumped. After all, East can see only 3 spades. He knows declarer has at least 5. That means that his partner has 5 spades. If one of them is an honor, the queen in particular, then if he can get the trumps off the board, then partner can get a trick with the queen of spades. All because even with this really awful hand, East paid attention to the bidding. He thought to himself, South can't have a club in his hand. He's 5-5 in the majors, and he's already followed to 3 rounds of diamonds. So he can't have a club. So just making the very passive lead of a trump is what leads to success. I hope you guys can see the differences in some of these things. I think defense is just absolutely wonderful fun. That doesn't mean I always think of the right thing to do in any given situation in the heat of battle, but I hope I've given you a few things to think about on defense. That was my intent here this morning. Thanks for coming.
Hi, this is Susan. Thanks for stopping by the Oklahoma Collective's YouTube channel. Basically, this channel shows recordings of our free 1-hour bridge lessons for advancing players that we offer every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. If you would like to join us, send your contact information to the email address shown on the screen, and we'll be happy to send you the link. If you would like to follow our channel and be notified when a new recording is uploaded, just
push the subscribe button below.
Thanks for stopping by. Bye.